This is the plaintiff, Julianne. She says her porch was in need of immediate repair, and she hired the defendant, a flim-flam scam man, who now has her hard-earned money and refuses to return it, even though his work was horrendous and illegal to boot. She's here in the name of justice, seeking the $3,010.73 she's owed. This is the defendant, Johnny. He says he did so much work for this ungrateful woman. Now she's suing him? Please. Bottom line, this rude woman has some nerve coming after him, and he can't wait for the judge to set her straight. He's accused of shoddy workmanship.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says that she's sorry she ever hired the defendant who ripped her off and didn't do the job right. The defendant says that he did so much for this ungrateful woman and definitely doesn't owe her a dime. It's the case of cut me some slack, slacker.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Julianne, you're suing your former contractor, Mr. Johnny, for $3,010.73 that you want returned to you because, according to you, he did nothing that was worthwhile. Tell me what happened here.
I met him through his ex-girlfriend from work. I told her that I needed my front porch to be rebuilt. She introduced me to him, said he could do the work, that he was very good. So I asked him if he could do the job, and he said yes, he could, and that he had been doing it for quite some time now, and he had lots of experience.
Okay. Did she tell you anything else about him?
Yeah, she told me a few character things that probably you don't want to mention on TV.
I want the actual story.
She said that he had just gotten out of jail, and that he
Did she say what for?
Over. Yeah, weapons charges. And she said that he was trying to start over and, you know, do better with himself. And that's as far as I knew.
Before, you didn't just talk to him on the phone and hire him. You actually met with him, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess he impressed you when you met with him because you ended up hiring him.
Yeah, he seemed really enthusiastic about doing the job.
Okay. And was there anything else during that encounter that made you go, maybe I should think this one through?
On the day that we did sit down to make a list of things that we were going to need to build the deck, he brought a bag of marijuana with him and took it out at the kitchen table and said, "Do you mind?" And I said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do."
Okay.
And
all right.
that there really made me nervous. So,
well, if it made you nervous, why'd you hire him? So I'm trying to figure out why you hired him.
I was trying not to be too judgmental because everybody tells me that I'm too judgmental.
Okay. So this was your project. All right. So now you hire him and he's going to do the deck, which involves demolition of the deck that's there and then building of the actual deck that you wanted, which I guess was going to be bigger, right?
Not by much, but it was about the same.
So why were you getting it done?
It needed to be done. It was falling down.
Oh, okay. So you hire him, and what is the total price that he's going to charge you?
He didn't give me a total price. He said to start, he would need $2,000.
How is it that you start off giving him $2,000 and have no idea what he's going to charge you in the end? That's a terrible way to do business.
Trusting him as a man.
Oh, right. Trusting him as the guy, the ex-con who just got out and pulled out a bag of weed. I mean, I'm sorry, but everything you're telling me about him would make you not want to hire him, much less trust that he's going to give you a fair price at the end. Now, your testimony, Mr. Johnny, is slightly different. According to you, there was a final price, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
That makes a lot more sense. Tell me what the final price was supposed to be.
$4,800 is what I charged her.
You don't have a written contract or a text or an email or anything to show me. Ms. Julianne, did you get estimates from other people?
I did ask around.
And what were the ballpark estimates you were getting?
$7,000.
All right. So you give him $2,000 to start, and what happens? This is the end of August. You give him the money to start, and he starts work September 1, the next day. And what does he do on September 1?
He comes over, he chops down the shrubbery around the deck, and then he says he has to leave for a dentist appointment. And I said, okay, are you coming back? And he said yes, and he never came back. And then
someone came to work the next day, right?
There was a gentleman that showed up who I wasn't familiar with. It was another contractor that he employed to pull down the deck. They came, they started demolishing the deck and wedging up the porch so that the roof wouldn't fall down. And
right. So they end up, Ms. Julianne, doing all the demolition. And on September 8th is when you applied for a permit. Why were you taking so long to apply for the permit?
I had to wait because COVID was slowing everything down, number one. And number two, I didn't find out I needed a permit until everything was getting started. And they said, oh, we can't start it until we get a permit. And I said, oh, maybe we should have started that sooner.
Okay. So you apply for the permit, but the permit doesn't come in until September 23rd, right?
Right.
And then what happens? You call him and you say, I have the permit. I just got it. And what does he say?
He says, I'll be over. And I had the neighbors watching for me to see, because I said, just keep an eye on whether or not he shows up. And there was maybe 3 times in total, and that was it. That he was there for a little bit and then he left. The most time he was there is when he dug the holes. And when the inspector came back, he says he dug the holes in the wrong spots. And it wasn't to code, and it had to be redone.
Let's back up just a little bit. According to you, his ex-girlfriend comes to your house. According to you, she's drunk and says what to you on September 27th?
She said that Johnny is involved with some bad people and they're after him and he's leaving town. And I got upset and I said, there's no way he's pulling a Houdini after he took that money from me. That's not right.
Okay, so on the 28th, you talk to him and you tell him, I want $1,500 of the $2,000 I've paid you. You can keep $500 for demolition, I guess. And he said what?
He said, no, I used the money for things that I needed. And I said, well, what exactly did you need? Well, I needed things for my house, he said.
Yeah, well, okay.
It's exactly
so now
what he told
on the
me.
29th, well, yeah, that's what people, what do you do with your paycheck? You know, that's his paycheck. So now if he breached the contract, then he has to give back the paycheck. But it's not astounding that he used the paycheck for his house. All right. So now September 29th, he tells you that he borrowed an auger and he came to your house and he dug the holes for the post. And what is it you were doing? You were using a handheld auger, Mr. Johnny, in order to burrow the holes for the post?
Yes, I actually was accomplishing the job with it. It was just more
not according to the inspector, because no, that's not true, because when the inspector came, he said that they weren't deep enough.
No, right, exactly.
I saw
that's why.
Right, so you weren't getting the job done. You need the motorized one, because otherwise you're not getting the job done. And then on the day that it doesn't pass inspection, you go to Home Depot and you rent the machinery, correct?
Yes.
And you, Mr. Johnny, do what?
I begin work. Well, I told her from the beginning that to take on, this is a job that she's not involved in. She wanted to be a part of it from the beginning. She wanted to be on the job site helping to tear stuff up. I said, lady, you hired me to do this job. Can I let me do the job? I told her the $4,800 that I charged her, all of that stuff is including in that total. Okay. I told her that I wanted to control purchasing the material. She says, no, I have a Home Depot card. I can get it for a price. I said, that's fine. Just I need the receipts. Okay. So I can total up within that what's paid out and what's remainder for myself.
So I don't get it. One of the things she's suing you for is the price of renting the auger. And are you supposed to pay for those? Well, then why did she? And why isn't she right when she says that she wants you to reimburse her?
Well, because she fired me.
You used the stuff she rented.
I used the stuff she rented, but it's going to come off of the total of the fee in the final payment. You understand what I'm saying? What she's going to pay me, I didn't have the money to buy that.
So in the end, it is something that you're supposed to pay for, the rental of the equipment that you didn't have. In the end, let's say everything worked out great.
Yes.
And
correct,
she gave you the whole 48.
Yes.
You are supposed to take that. I got
Yes.
it. Now, you take the equipment she rents, and then you make the holes deeper, like they have to
dug all the holes.
And then you call for inspection, And what happens on the second inspection? You fail again.
He said
Why
I
did you
needed
fail
to
the
dig-
second time?
I needed to dig one more hole. That's what it was. All the holes were accurately
Actually,
measured.
no.
They
What
were
it
in the
says
right
is, I see what it says. It says that you put the hole by the steps in the wrong place, that it's not according to the
Yeah.
plan.
So I needed to
Right,
dig one
okay.
more hole, is what I'm saying.
Right, because you put the post in the wrong place. So
Yes.
fine. Now it's October 2nd with the second failed inspection. And what do you tell her about when you're going to go back to work there? Because if I'm her
was
and you
working
failed 2
consistently.
inspections, I want you there October 3rd, you know? So what was the plan?
If there wasn't a time that I was there, the job was getting done. Okay, when you hire me to do a job, as long as the job is getting done in a timely fashion, it's not what I have to do in my life. If I have an appointment, I can't tend to my appointment. I'll get back to the job after.
Right, but see, that's the problem. You think it's timely, she think it's not, and I'll be the judge of that. That's exactly what the
Well, I get it.
lawsuit's about. She's mad
I
because she says,
understand.
so I'm asking you, did you come to work on the 3rd, 4th, or 5th?
Absolutely. I never went that many days without working.
All right, and what
I mean, if you
did
look
you
at
go?
the
Did you
time
guys?
frame from the-
No, stop. So what did you
Sorry,
guys
go ahead.
do all day on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th?
I mean, I'm not sure as to what you're saying 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and I can't.
Well, let's think about it. If on the
States-
2nd is the second time you fail inspection, we already know that by that point, there's one thing left to do before building the deck.
Okay.
That one thing is
Okay.
to move the post to where it's supposed to be.
Okay.
So,
all right. So yes,
did
I
you
dug
move the
that hole.
Did you move the
Yes.
post to where it was supposed to
Yes.
be? And then,
Yes, correct.
all right. Did you do anything else?
No, I did not. I contacted.
Okay, then you weren't there every day
Okay.
between October 2nd and October 6th. Now, according to you, Ms. Julianne, because it doesn't take 4 days to do that, Ms. Julianne, did he come to work on the 3rd, 4th, or 5th?
I know he came one day. On the days that
Okay.
he didn't come, I got excuses, and his would have been back then his girlfriend came to work and told me that they were up drinking Jack all night and getting high. And I said, "Why do you do that?" And she says, "Well, there's nothing else to do."
Well, there is something else to do, isn't there? Which is your deck. So let's look at the text from that time. She tells you on October 3rd, the post by the steps has to be moved. I got a note in the door from the town. You say, "I know. I spoke to him before that. He just left the paper for your records." She says, "Oh, okay." And then 3 days later, there's no text between you guys between October 3rd and October 6th. And then on the 6th, you tell her that you have Crohn's
That's
disease
why.
and you're unable to move
Yes.
or even eat. I was planning on going to lay the concrete today, even in pain, but I can't do business with you always acting like an effing child. What's that about? Why are you texting her that?
Because she's very belligerent in the way she talks. Any communication with her, she's very sarcastic. She's like demanding, and just very rude with everything that she says. And it was just simple as that. Like, I mean, I'm explaining to her that I'm doing her job, and I'm explaining to her also that I have medical issues right now, that I'm still tending to her job, that I'm not disregarding it, that it's not unimportant to me. But this is abrupt.
Let me tell you, when we're talking about rudeness, I want to give you a little primer on rudeness, Mr. Johnny. Never text a client, "Please relax." It's condescending, especially when it's a man telling a woman, because there's this, I don't know. If I was to give out any advice to any young men today, I would tell them, lose that from your vocabulary. Because when a man tells a woman, "Relax, calm down," you're implying that there's a hysteria. Let's see what you text her the next day. "How are you feeling? I hope better." Then the next day, "Good morning, young lady. I hope you're a bit more positive and chipper today. Take a deep breath. All is well, and whatever little worry you had should be gone." Who do you think you're talking to, man? I mean, when you say she wanted to take over the project, it was rhetorical, trust me. When you say she wanted to take over the project, she wanted to be on top of things. Well, yeah, she's a homeowner who's paying you. She should be on top of things. Why wouldn't she be on top of things? So on October 6th, you tell him, "Thank you, you're excused. I found help elsewhere. Please do not harass me again." So he's right that there had to be some like telephone calls, because the texts don't seem to be the only way you're communicating. There's something going on. So did he call you, or did you call him after he mentioned the Crohn's disease? Did you guys talk on the phone?
No, there were times when I called him before that to ask him, "Where are you? Are you coming today?" And he would say, yeah, I just got to do this first. And then he would never show up.
So you tell him he's excused, but you also say, please do not harass me again. How is he harassing you?
He was harassing me by, you can see how demeaning the texts are. You can imagine what the dialogue was like.
Okay, all right. So here's the thing that I have a question about. Did you guys clean up and take all the debris away?
Absolutely. It was immaculate. We cleaned up everything.
And according to you, Ms. Juliana, that didn't happen? And you have pictures to show me of the steps?
Yes, I do.
Now, I don't know.
I have.
Oh, no, you're right. I did not remove that. I am lying. I'm sorry. That is because she discontinued
garbage too.
My work. She no longer needed it.
Right.
So that.
Now, once you dismiss him, what happens? Who ends up building your porch? Because you got the porch built.
My neighbors felt terrible for me, so they decided to band together and do it for me. And I paid them.
Okay.
There was no shortage of money.
How much did you pay them?
$7,000.
No, you didn't. In your complaint, you don't say that. In your complaint, you say, I gave him $1,000 I gave my friend $1,000
I gave one guy
$1,000. You don't say.
I gave the guy next.
And then on a piece of paper where you took notes, you wrote that you paid somebody $950. You paid two different guys $950 total.
Yep.
So where did you get $7,000? Well, where do you get $7,000? Hello, Ms. Julianne, where do you get $7,000?
It was at least $3,000.
You think you could just spit out figures and nothing matters?
No.
You don't think that it's important to me that you just said 7,000, now you're saying it's at least 3, when you know you were on record twice in your complaint and in notes that you handed the court to look at, where you say it's either 950 or 1,000 that you paid. Just the truth doesn't matter, guys?
I paid.
I mean, come on.
I paid the guy next door 1,000, and I paid these other two $950.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. You paid him $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
You paid Home Depot $1,000. You paid the other guys another $1,000. That totals out to $4,000. If he had done everything he was supposed to do, and on a timetable that you found acceptable, you would have been paying $4,800 to get the job done. And you only paid $4,000. So what are your damages? Why would I make him return money to you when we know that he and the people he subbed demolished everything and dug for the posts, et cetera. And then you said, you know what, you're done. And I get it. I don't like the idea of somebody stringing me along. And if somebody texted me, oh, little lady, or oh, young lady, I hope you're chipper today, they'd be getting up off the floor and telling people they fell, okay? I don't like the condescension in his voice. But you didn't even get a permit until September 24th, and you're firing him on October 6th. I don't know if you've ever done construction before, but it takes a little longer. But let's assume that you are 100% correct, because he's not suing you. He's not suing you, hey, I want my other $2,800. She threw me off the job. I should have been able to complete it. I want my $2,800. He's not suing you. If he was doing that, I would turn around and I would tell him, wow, okay, you know, was she or wasn't she right in firing you? And how much work did you do? What's happening here is you're firing him, and then you're wanting him to repay you the money, but he did work that was of value on that property. So now here's where we are. You have paid $4,000 for a job that was supposed to cost you $4,800. Number one, you are not out a penny, you're ahead $800. Number two, if I look at what he did and I say he breached the contract, he's incompetent, he didn't dig it deep enough the first time, he didn't follow the plans the second time, and he didn't show up for work a bunch of days and she's lost faith in him, I'm going to assume for the moment that you are 100% correct in firing him, because I don't have to determine that in order to decide this case. When you're looking at something and saying, all right, you know what, you breached the contract, Mr. Johnny, and, you know, she doesn't have to pay you anymore, and which he's not even suing for anyway. The only question that is left for the court is, did this man do $2,000 worth of work? That's it. And the reason that that's the only question is because it would never be fair for you to have bargained to get a porch for $4,800 and then get back $2,000 from him, and then the porch costs you $2,000. That's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. Right. So I have to look at the job he did and say, you know, even if I don't like that he's condescending, even if I don't think he's prepared, even if I don't like that he didn't follow the plan, even if I don't like, I still got to look at the job he did and say, all right, is she out any money over the job he did? And is the job he did worth the $2,000 that he has? And my verdict on that is that, yes, it is. Because even if you combine all these things together, you did not pay more than what you were supposed to pay to get the job that you ended up getting. So I find that he does not have to return any of that money to you. That is my verdict. Good luck, folks.
So, the judge finds for the defendant in this case. Johnny does not have to give the plaintiff back any of the $2,000 he got. Ms. Julian, let me ask you, what are you thinking right now? You know, the judge really knew the details of your case better than you, almost. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, I made the mistake of getting mad and saying something that I shouldn't have said, but I feel sorry for anyone that hires him going forward. He's not professional, and he's got a substance issue, and he needs to address it.
Well, you can knock him all you want, but the bottom line is he doesn't have to give you back any money. You sued him for $3,000, and you don't get anything, okay? Johnny, let me ask you about your reaction to this case. What did you think when you got sued?
Yeah, she's off her rocker. I mean, she's very, like I say, you know, I just wanted to wash my hands with it. You know, when she said I no longer need your service, I was just so glad to no longer deal with her anymore. She's trying to control the whole job. It's not how it does. You want to hire me, I get the job done, and that's it. You know. All
righty. Well, you know, the two of you are equal. Neither one of you like the other. And that'll do it for the case. At least you don't have to give her any money back. So good for you.
That's right.
And that'll do it. All right.
The plaintiff in this case made a series of kind of mistakes or little warnings that maybe should have informed her that this was not going to be a good relationship between her and her contractor. She picks the contractor because a friend recommends somebody who just got out of the joint. The guy comes to the interview at her house and tries to light up a blunt in her kitchen. It's one thing on top of the next in this case that should have been kind of warning signs.
These are all before she hired him.
Right, and then she also fronts him a $2,000 check right from Jump Street without a contract describing a detailed scope of the work, a start date, an end date, any kind of details that you're going to want to have in a relationship with a contractor. But at the end of the day, she doesn't have any real damages from his work.
No, she's ahead of the game.
And when you analyze the case on a quantum merit basis where you're trying to decide what does he deserve for what he did, probably easily deserved the $2,000 that he got.
Yeah, and that's what quantum merit is. It's like you are not allowed, what is the worth of the work he did, because you're not allowed to get that for free.
Right.
So what is the worth of the whether you look at it and say, what's the worth of the work that was done, or whether you look at it and say, are you out any money? Right. She wasn't out any money.
No, she was out some aggravation along the way.
Yes.
I wish it could have been done faster. I wish
he hadn't failed inspection twice.
Failed a couple inspections. That took more time. Little things like that. But the reality is, you don't get a windfall when you come to court. You don't get the porch done. Plus, hey, give me all my money back.
Usually the way we see these are that the contractor sues her. He says, she shouldn't have fired me. I want my other $2,800. Right. I was supposed to have $4,800 from this job. And I didn't have to build it, but that's her fault that I didn't, because she breached her. But none of that was happening. She just
did. He didn't counterclaim against her.
And I don't buy for a second that she thought, it doesn't even make any sense that I have no idea how much a porch is going to cost me. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And you know what else doesn't make sense? $7,000 is what I pay. None of these things make sense. And that, when a judge hears you lying through your teeth like that, it's a problem.
That's bad form, and that's going to get you in trouble. And you're not going to get what you came to court to look for.
So Linda wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, when either the plaintiff or the defendant win their case in small claims court, what recourse does either party have if the other doesn't pay the judgment? Well, you have recourse. It's called an examination of judgment debtor, where you can go into court and you ask the person who lost the case a series of questions. Where are your bank accounts? What job do you have? How much do you make? Where do you put the money? You can attach assets by getting that information. That's the way to do it. Again, it's called an examination of judgment debtor. You ask questions about where all their assets are, and then you can execute on that with the help of the sheriff in your jurisdiction. We'll see you next time.